Hello everyone and welcome to an affordable and a cheerful compact SUV, and this compact SUV also happens to be a pretty popular name in its segment, which is this Nissan Kicks. So in today's video we're going to be finding out everything in detail about this Nissan Kicks. But before we move forward, please consider subscribing to my channel by clicking that red subscription button and make sure to press the bell icon next to it and leave all the notifications on, so that ways you will never miss any video updates from my channel. So the particular model that I'm reviewing is the 2022 Nissan Kicks SL version. So there is an S version, SV and the SL. So SL is the top of the line version, and there are few bits different from the base version, basically your rims and your lights and some interior features and stuff. But apart from that, nearly the models are pretty much identical in terms of the design and everything. So let's start with this one. So you get this new grille out here, like it's a wider one and a bigger one out here instead of a smaller one. Again, it's the V motion design grille in the glossy black plastic, and this new flat Nissan logo in this chrome color, and also the chrome strips are all around on the headlights as well, and then they continue on to the other side. There are more chrome bits at the bottom as well. There is also this additional bit of plastic trim out here, glossy one. It's just like a trim, there is no functionality to it, and it houses your fog lights as well, which are the LED fog lights at the bottom. Another chrome strip which has been given. So that's pretty much it in terms of the bumper design. There are also more cutouts which are given out here for that extra bit of cooling out here. And when you come to these headlights, these are sleeker headlights, but now they are a little longer and they continue all the way onto the side body. And when you look at it from the top as well, they are pretty much into the horizontal face also, so they are extending onto that. And these headlights are completely LED headlight cluster. There is also a DRL which has been given. There is also a turn light at the bottom of it. So the LED headlight cluster is offered on this SL pack, while on the S and the SV you get the halogen headlights. So the design on this new Kicks is pretty similar to the older generation as well, if you look at it from the side profile. And on this SL version you get 17-inch alloy rims in this diamond cut design, and on the standard ones you get, which is the S and the SV, you get 16 inches rim, and you also get these plastic body arches on the side so that you don't damage your fender. There is also a light bit of lines out here, arch that goes on the fender. And then these side mirrors are non-power foldable, they are power adjustable. They also have one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. There's also a turning light inside it, and there's also a blind spot warning which is mounted on the frame itself and not into the side mirror, so that's been given as well. At the bottom, more plastic skirtings which have been given. These doors are keyless entry doors, just the front two ones. There are also roof rails which are given out here, and a pretty decently tall SUV-ish kind of design. Even in the back there are plastic arches as well, and then this tail light that extends onto the side profile, a bit of a arch out here as well with some subtle lines that go from the front to the back. Now in the previous generations the rear tail lights on the Kicks were separated, but now they are connected by this red bar out here. It's not a light bar or anything, but just for the design purpose they have merged it and made it like into a single tail light cluster out here. So these tail lights are again a mixture of halogen and LED. The signature design that you have is just from the LED, while the turn signals and all of that is the halogen. And then there is also this tiny Nissan badging out here in this chrome, and there is also the Kicks badging out here. And at the bottom, again, the previous generation of the Kicks used to have the plastic or the silver color bumper out here, but now they are body colored out here. And then there is also this fog light which has been given, and this bumper design itself has this diffuser kind of design which has been given, but it's only for the aesthetics purpose and it's not any function or anything. And while the exhaust tip is mounted behind the bumper, so you get a rather clean looking design. There's also this plastic strip black one out here which has been given, and in terms of the visibility it's actually pretty decent. There are just pillars here and there, but otherwise it's a pretty nice and big rear visibility that you get. Now when you come to the boot space, In this standard setting, you can put 400 liters of luggage in the back when the rear seats are up, which is pretty decent. And also the boot floor itself is pretty low down, and there's also a bit of a lip out here, but it's not going to be too much of a concern because already the boot floor is quite low. There are also scuff plates so that you don't damage your bumper. And then this boot separator is also removable, so you can do that with just quick kind of easy 2 tabs, and then it's actually in 2 pieces, so you're gonna remove both of them, and then it sits on your floor itself and doesn't consume a little bit of space, just about it. But yeah, you can still utilize the vertical space of this boot space itself. So once you remove that, you get pretty even space out here, and then there are also tying points which are given, and the rear seats are foldable in a ratio of 60:40, and then there are these levers which are given out here, so you pull them and fold the seats down. And let me fold the other one and show you both. Now when you fold down the rear seats as well, you can put 1503 liters, which is a pretty good quantity of luggage that you can put inside this car. And plus, because this is a compact SUV, it makes this space pretty big comparatively. And the only thing is that there is a bit of a lip between the floor and the seats, which is what makes it a little difficult to put your luggage in and out, but nonetheless there is still quite a bit of space. And at the bottom of this boot floor, you will find a full size spare wheel which has been given, and also the tools to change the wheel and everything. But otherwise, a pretty usable space that you will find on this Kicks. Now on the inside of this Nissan Kicks, the interior layout is quite simplified and pretty practical and just straightforward. All the options are given wherever they are supposed to be in the right place. So let me start off with the material quality. You just get this plastic dashboard out here, complete plastic. Even the door cards are nearly all of it is plastic, and a little plain design that you have on the door cards where you're going to be resting your hands. That is where it is covered with leather covered soft touch brown color leather covered handrest that you get out here. And at the bottom again, normal plastic. Out here, more plastic. The glove box has plastic. On the side face of it, there is again leather covered brown color one which has been given out here. And pretty much, yeah, it's just made out of a mixture of plastic, and places where you're going to be resting your hands or at your eyesights, that's where they've covered it with leather. Now when you come to the driver's display, you get a mixture of analog dial and also a digital cluster on the driver's display itself. So on the left side you get all the driver's display, and on the right side you will find the speedometer on this one. And you can customize the left side information panel that you get. So the standard one is your RPM counter, where it will show you all your revs and everything, and in the center the range. And if you want to see more information, then you can go to your media settings, fuel economy, and then your fuel economy history. And when you go more to your right side, then you will find your drive computer, where you will find your digital speed first, and then your average, what you're doing throughout the long term average, and your tire pressures, and then your coolant temperature, and then your chassis control. And then you come to the driving aids that you will get to see. Then there is the next option is your warning, and then the detail settings, in which you will see your ESP setting, driver assistant, customized display. So you can customize what information you want to see on that display. So it's pretty straightforward, and all your important piece of information is right out there. A little more crisp screen would have been nicer, because during the day sometimes it tends to be a little dull, and when the light is directly falling on it, it can be a little dull that ways. Now when you come to the steering wheel, this is a leather covered steering wheel with the flat bottom out here, and the steering wheel is also adjustable, which is your tilt and telescopic, so you get lots of adjustability options as well. And on the right side you would find the controls for your standard cruise control, which has been given, and also the communication controls, while on the left side you will find the controls for your infotainment, your media, and also the information that you see on your driver's display. That can be all changed from here. But pretty much a pretty decently sized steering wheel design that you get on this Kicks. Now when you come to the air conditioning controls, you get straightforward button operated single zone air conditioning system. So not to just operate, that is an on off switch which has been given out here. You switch it on, and then on your right side there's a dial for your fan speed, on the left side for the temperature control, then your circulation of air and your different modes where you want the air to blow from. So that's pretty much it, right? Pretty straightforward that way, which is why everything is just simplified and straightforward. Now when you come to this infotainment screen, this is a pretty clean looking infotainment screen that you get on this Nissan Kicks. It's like an LED screen, but again during the day it just tends to feel a little washout, and because of the sunlight directly falling on it, and because it's angled a little towards the roof side, which is what makes the angle a little difficult sometimes in the bright daylight. But again, everything straightforward has been given on your infotainment screen itself, and it's pretty simplified. There are also buttons which are given out here on the sides, on both the sides, for your menu, your phone call, your brightness, audio, camera, and the track changer and everything. And at the bottom there is also a volume dial and also a scroller dial on either sides. And on your main screen you would find like a widget where you will find your main menu, like your clock and the customizing of your home screen option. Your first option at the bottom is your phone option. If you're connected to the phone, all your calls and SMS and all of that you can see from there. Then there is the audio option, in which where you will find your connectivity options. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment system using FM, your AM, there is also the DAB, there is also USB, there is also Bluetooth, and there is also the auxiliary cable. But yeah, that seems to have disappeared pretty much from all the cars these days, but you still get an aux cable, which is pretty easy to plug and play. And there is also the wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so lots of connectivity options that you get as well. Then the next option that you will see is your detailed connection options, in which you will find your Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, USB options as well. And then when you come out, then there is the info, where you will find your system information for this car, and then you will find the detailed settings, in which you will find the controls for your connections, clock, phone, your customized home screen, your sound, your customized audio sources, volume, camera, more settings, in which you will find your design and everything. So all of this is quite simple and easy to understand, and there is not much to it. And then even the screen itself is pretty responsive that way, so it's going to be fine. In terms of the maps as well, when you're connected to your Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you can use the Google Maps as well, so even that is sorted for you. Now when you come to the charging, you get one standard USB port which has been given underneath the air conditioning control, and one 12-volt power socket, and there are two more standard USB ports which are given for the rear passenger. Now in terms of the storage on this Kicks, you can put decent amount of storage on the door cards and out here and everywhere pretty much. So in the door cards you can put about 1 liter worth of bottle out here, even 1.5 liter if you put it a little in the crossway, and then some more storage on the side. There's also another storage on the left side where you can store your wallet, and also there is a storage given in the center where underneath the air conditioning control, where you can put your phone when it is charging, or your wallets. And there is also this glove box which has been given out here. There are two cup holders which are given out here, but they are not the round ones, but a little rectangular cup holders that are given. And not just that, these cup holders are also adjustable, so you can fold the partition in between, and then it becomes like a deeper cup holder. So if you have bottles or anything, you can put that as well, or if you have cups, so you can make it shallow and then you can put that. And even if you don't want to use any of that cup holder, you can just remove it and place this somewhere, wherever in the rear seats or somewhere. But yeah, you can utilize it as a single storage as well. And then there is also this center armrest as well, in which you can put like a little bit of storage, like your, I don't know, maybe your phones and wallets, but that's about it. And in the rear door cards, you can easily put like 1 to 1.5 liter worth of bottle as well. And there are no cup holders or anything for the rear passenger. Now on this Nissan Kicks, you get this extendable sun visor, which is pretty handy, especially during a bright day, because it pretty much covers the entire door for you. So that's a pretty cool thing. And even the sun visors themselves are pretty nice, broad and big. And on this Kicks, you do not get a sunroof option, and to be honest, I'm I'm kind of alright with it, because yeah, we don't generally use sunroofs, so it's kind of alright, and plus it gives you more airtight sort of system inside, where there is less leakage of air from around as well. Now when you come to the seats on this Nissan Kicks, you get brown color leather seats with this white stitching out here, and pretty nice and broad that way. They are slightly on the firmer side, I would say, but during the longer journeys it's going to be quite alright, because that way they are pretty comfortable, and as I mentioned, they are pretty broad as well. So, and there is also enough bit of support at the bottom of it, and also the side support, and even in the backrest as well there is decent amount of support. There is no lumbar adjustability. A little bit of lumbar support at the bottom would have been slightly nicer, but nonetheless, I mean, it's a budget compact SUV, so what do you expect? It's still a pretty decent setup that you get on this one. And the driver's side seat, if you notice on the headrest of it, there is Bose mention on it. So first of all, on this Nissan Kicks you get 6-speaker Bose music system, while for the driver's headrest there are speakers which are mounted inside it as well. So only the driver gets it, while other passengers, they don't get it. So only the driver gets to enjoy the music and the surround sound system on this one. And the Bose music system on this Nissan Kicks itself sounds incredible, even though like it's a budget car, but yeah, the music system is pretty on point. And the seat has also got a decent amount of adjustability options, so you can go quite a bit up, and then this is all manually adjustable using the lever, so it's gonna take a little while and some effort and exercise. So when I go up, okay, that's all right. Yeah, so you can go quite high up and you get that SUV, big SUV kind of feeling when you're driving it, or you can just go down, take a little while, a second or two more. Oh yeah. Yeah, so you can go down quite low, and then you can adjust it pretty much as well. So the driver and the passenger side seat are both 6-way manually adjustable, so all your reclining and then your forward and backwards, all of that action can be adjusted using the levers which are given out here. And on this Nissan Kicks there are also optional upgrades that you can do, so like you can put your wireless charger if you fancy that as well. Then on these air conditioning vents you can have your colorful rings in whichever color you want, so even that's an option, and there are lots more options that you can upgrade to on this Nissan Kicks. Now out here in the rear, the seats are quite raised up and you sit quite upright that way, because this backrest as well is pretty steep angle, that is pretty much like a 90-degree angle. But in terms of the headroom, you get about 4 to 5 fingers worth of room, so that's pretty good, even though these seats are still quite high up. And in terms of the knee space, yeah, there is also quite a bit of room as well. These seats also have this bit of a curve, so that they give you that extra bit of knee room as well. So it's kind of pretty alright in terms of the space that you get. You can even slide your legs under the seats, because these are all mechanical seats, so you get that extra bit of room to stretch your legs during the longer journeys. And in the back of this Kicks you also get the same brown color leather seats with the white stitching out here, and the middle seat has no handrest or anything, so it's like a fixed seat, which is why it's just foldable in a ratio of 60:40, and the comfort levels are nearly identical like how it was in the front, so it's the same thing you get in the back. It just misses out a little bit of support underneath your thigh, which is what I like to mention, and which is what I miss a little bit out here, but otherwise it's pretty alright. And there is also not much of a tunnel out here, it's nearly flat, so someone sitting in the middle, because it's quite important, 5 people are going to be using this car for sure, so you can still sit here. And there is a bit of a bump in the back, that's about it, but the base is quite alright, and you can sit here for like longer journeys as well. But yeah, make sure to just keep changing so that the middle passenger also gets time to rest their bottoms and every single time that they are sitting out here. But otherwise, yeah, it's quite a spacious cabin feeling in the back as well, even though this is a compact SUV. And in terms of the material quality in the door cards, again, it's just the plastic. Where you're going to be resting hands is again brown color leather. And in terms of the storage, you can put about, as I mentioned, a liter to 1 liter, 1.5 liter worth of bottle out here, and there are just 2 USB ports which are given, and it does not have any air conditioning vents in the back. So this 2022 Nissan Kicks is powered by a 1.6 liter DOHC 4-cylinder engine that produces 118 horsepower and 155 Newton meters of torque, and this engine is mated to a CVT transmission which powers the front wheels. So this is a front wheel drive car, and because this is a 1.6 liter and a CVT combination, so in terms of the efficiency, you can get anywhere between 12.5 to 13 kilometers per liter, and even higher if you are going on a longer runs, than maybe 13.5. So this is where you get the advantage in terms of driving it every day, and especially when the fuel prices are quite high up now. So this is going to be a perfect combination for that. But let me first come to the engine and the gearbox, because the CVT, yeah, it's not a very responsive one, and though the engine is quite alright, but it gets very stressed out because it's just naturally aspirated, plus this CVT, especially from 40 to 80 kilometers. So let me just slow down, because it takes forever sometimes to just accelerate. So right now I'm doing 45, and then you hear like it struggles a little bit to just cross that 80, but once it crosses 80, then things do become a little easier, because the car is then cruising quite easily, and then it starts going upwards relatively easy compared to that between 40 to 80, when it's a little struggling for that power and performance. But apart from that, for daily use, I think this is quite an alright combination if you ask me, because it's more of a daily family car for that. And there is also a little bit of noise that comes in, but I'm going to come to that later on. Now, when you come to the suspensions, they are on the softer side, but there is not much of roll or anything. In fact, it's quite a comfortable car that way, and even the suspension itself, they offer pretty comfortable ride. So when you're cruising around and when you're taking sharper turns, it's not gonna be a very difficult thing in this case, because it's gonna be quite an easier task. And as I mentioned, there is not much of a roll on this car as well. In fact, let me do a slide and test and show you what's the suspension like, because it's quite comfortable, and it shifts its weight quite easily from one end to the other. Apologize for all my stuff that is rattling around and making the noise. So in terms of suspensions, it's pretty good, and I really like it. Now, in terms of the steering, this is again a good bit of steering that you get. I like it. It's electronic steering though, but it's got good weight to it, and for everyday use, this is a pretty decent setup, which I like. And it's also got a lot of feedback to it, and for everyday use is pretty good. And because this is a subcompact SUV, so the turning radius is also pretty small, so it's like light and nimble that way. So you're not going to be bothered about the steering that way. So it's kind of pretty everyday, easy to use kind of setup. Now, when you come to the brakes, you get 4 disc brakes on this Nissan Kicks, while the base version of it has just 2 front brakes and 2 drum brakes in the back. But on this one, you get 4 disc brakes, and in order to show you the performance out of them, let me do a 100 kilometer and then do an emergency brake test. It's just for showing you the braking action purpose, because it's just for that. It's not like you're going to be using it, but in case you do, then you will know how good the brakes are. So let me accelerate, because it's going to take a little while. Go to 100. Now we are at 100, and now the braking action is pretty good, and even the pedal itself has good weight to it, and you get good feedback out of it. There's no emergency stop signal. That's the only bit, though you will have to do that manually, but it's still a decent amount of braking action because of all the 4 disc brakes that you get on this Nissan Kicks. Now, when you come to the noise and the vibrations, as I mentioned, there is a bit of engine noise that you will definitely hear, and especially that CVT, which keeps grunting all the time. So when I accelerate, it's the combination of the engine and the CVT that makes that grumbling sort of noise. And plus, when it's a very windy day, you will hear a little bit of whooshing noise from here and also from the front windscreen as well. But apart from that, the vibrations or rattling, none of it is there for now, because it's a pretty solid build car that way, so it's gonna hold up pretty well for years to come. Now, when you come to the safety systems on this Nissan Kicks, you will find 6 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passengers, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger, and also 2 curtain airbags on both the door frames. There are also child isofix points in both the rear seats. There is also the parking sensors that you get, and there is also a 360-degree camera system, which is kind of decent in terms of its output. It's not really the crisp or the best one. It's got a little bit of gray areas sometimes when you're in the dark, like darker patches are visible, especially with the quality of the screen. Also can be because of that, but it's fine for like an affordable compact SUV. It's still a 360-degree camera system, which is going to be pretty useful and pretty plentiful for everyday use. Now, apart from that, the other safety systems are your ABS, your electronic brake distribution. There's also the tire pressure monitoring system. Now, when you come to the pricing, so the base variant, which is the S Nissan Kicks S version, costs at 61,500 dirhams. The SV version costs 69,500 dirhams. I'm actually 65,900 dirhams, and the top version, which is this, costs 79,900 dirhams. I'm going to put the exact pricing on your screen as well. Now, for that price, it's a decent bargain, I would say, because let's be honest, you get a lot of space, you get a lot of practicality options, and also it's decently fitted with a lot of tech as well. You get the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, the screen, and a simplified system where you just get in and you can just try driving the car itself. And the space factor is pretty much the biggest one that you get on this car, even though it's a subcompact SUV. And plus, it's got a good reputation, let's be honest, because it's pretty reliable that way. And I know it's a CVT, but think of it, because the fuel prices are so high now, it's going to be quite affordable to drive this thing, because it's got a 50-liter tank, and then you can pretty much do like 500 or 550 kilometers from that single tank of fuel. Now, when you come to this Nissan Kicks, it's a pretty purposeful SUV, but it's just that only if the powertrain options were a little bit improved and a few things were improved that way, then it's actually a pretty good solid car that it can become in this segment. But for now, if you're thinking of buying a subcompact SUV, then this is definitely, you should be putting it in your list, because it's got all the right options that you want from a car. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. Give this video a thumbs up, and if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. Thank you for watching this video, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care and stay safe.